I'd like to start off by saying I don't have a fucking clue why I'm posting this on X, or really at all. Maybe I'm afraid of dying or something. The events described in this story happened a month and a half ago, in Shenandoah, West Virginia, although I typed this up about 2 weeks ago. I just haven't really had the guts to post this until what happened yesterday. The story starts in late September, when my family went to go visit our relatives, who invited us up to celebrate one of them, Desiree, getting like $2,000 in some scratch-off lottery thing. They live in like this really fucking shitty part of Shenandoah that people from Charlestown, Shepherdstown and Ranson, basically the least rednecky parts of West Virginia, like to call Squalor Holler. It's way up in the mountain, and exactly like how everyone pictured it when they hear about it. Nothing but ramshackle shacks, rusty-ass rebuilt trailers, everything fucking covered in decades-old Christmas decorations because they're all too busy being smelly rednecks to ever clean up. Real deliverance shit. Just no rivers or canoes. The relatives we were visiting are absolutely confirmed inbreeders. All cousins fucking each other. We don't refer to them as aunt, uncle, whatever, just relatives. Not terrible people or anything, just absolutely cartoonish, depressing hillbilly stereotypes. So anyway, we're up here in this godforsaken trailer. It sucks. There's like 8 of them, plus me, my dad, my mum, and my sister. About 2 hours in, my mum takes my cell phone so that I can focus on the family time together. Which is bullshit. All we did the whole time was eat TV dinners and be forced to watch NASCAR and that shit. After like 6 hours of this shit, about 10 minutes before we're supposed to leave, it starts raining. We know how treacherous the roads can be up in the mountains, so we decide to wait for the rain to die down. Flash forward 2 hours later. It's fucking dark as hell, 10 o'clock, and there's a flood warning for the area. I have my phone back by this time. No reception though, of course. I'm playing Tetris and Texas Hold'em and stuff, when suddenly I hear my dad start losing his shit in the next room. I walk over, and it turns out that they let slip they just buried their kid, Thomas, outside, and apparently were afraid the rain would wash his body up or some other horse shit. The kid was like 6. He was attacked by a dog, and they never told the cops. Just fucking buried him like he was a family pet. My dad's flipping his shit, and rightly so, because, you know, we live in the 21st century and all, so our relatives say that they'll sort it out in the morning. My parents tell me and my sister to stay in the same room as them during the night, and we do. None of us really suspected they'd kill Thomas or anything, since they're really peaceful. They didn't even own any guns aside from this one old-timey double-barreled shotgun they had on a mantle. Nevertheless, we were creeped the fuck out, and intended to tell the cops in the morning once we got to town. So it was like 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Power had gone out for the 5th time or so, and I'm not able to charge my dead phone. Worst part is, I see Thomas's little grave right outside the window. Little cross on it and everything. And I assume the kid couldn't have been buried deep at all since they were so worried about him being washed up out of the grave. So I was just fixated on it. Kept being drawn to look out the window. And then I saw the fucking worst thing in my life. Something was creeping through the trees towards the house. I stared at it for a while, but I couldn't get a good look at it since it was raining and the bush was so thick. For a few minutes, I assumed it was 2 really pale horses, kind of ambling through the woods side by side. But then it walked into the moonlight, and I saw that it was all one thing, like a kind of human torso, but wider. It finally stepped into full view, and I saw it had something like 6 legs, kind of somewhere between a beetle's legs and a horse's legs. 2 arms, right where someone would normally have them, but they were about half a foot longer than any normal man's arms. It had a bald head, but the face looked like some sort of fucking bizarre masquerade ball kind of mask. This fucking clenched up, furrowed forehead, and a nose that looked sort of like a crow's or a raven's beak. It didn't have eyes, either, just like depressions where eyes would go. It had a human mouth underneath its proboscis. What still strikes me to this day is that it seemed to have a penis, like right on the abdomen where a normal person's dick would be. The thing moved sort of gracefully. It made these soft thumping noises when it moved. It must have been like 7, 8 feet tall, but sounded like it weighed maybe only 150 pounds at most. It starts walking towards Thomas's grave, and then I finally snap out of whatever trance I was in, and I just scream. My mum is the first one to wake up, and I tell her to look out the window. She rushes over and doesn't really seem to understand what she's looking at. After a minute though, The thing bends down and starts pawing at the grave with his hands. My dad and Jasper rush in, and Jasper just fucking loses his shit. Screams like a little girl. Runs back out of the room, yelling for his father. Yelling, "It's outside! It came! It's outside!" I look back and see the thing is digging ferociously at the ground, kicking up huge mounds of dirt. I hear these sounds of feet running around the house. I think they were looking for the shotgun. The thing reaches into the hole and grabs up what I assume was Thomas's body by the leg in one hand. The thing kind of gallops back into the woods, snapping all these branches and shit. And then that's when we all hear it. A kid crying. The sound of a child sobbing and crying from the direction that thing took off in. We left as soon as the rain let up, at like 5 a.m. I don't even think we told anyone at the house. Drove straight back to Ranson, only stopping for gas. No one said a word to each other. My family refuses to speak about what happened. I tried to bring it up once, just to make sure it was real. My dad told me to shut the fuck up, so I did. I typed this up about 3 weeks after it happened, but just saved it to the notepad file and left it alone. Never mentioned it to any of my friends or anything. Just tried to erase it from my memory by getting absolutely fucked up drunk whenever my thoughts lingered on it. It mostly worked, up until yesterday. See, I work at this gas station in Ransom, from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. I work the register, keep the place clean, and take out the trash. Yesterday, when I was bringing the trash bags over to the back of the building for the dude in the morning to take care of, I heard what I assumed to be some junkie fucking around in the dumpster. I yelled at whoever it was a couple of times to get the hell out before I called the cops. But as I walked towards the source of the noise, I suddenly heard those same footsteps. That soft thump thump, hooves or feet or whatever the hell they were. I turned right around and went back into the store and hid behind the counter. I looked over at the outside security monitor and see some kind of movement just from off screen. Something huge, casting a shadow and moving. Catch a glimpse of, I don't know, an elbow or something. A pale limb, darting in and out of view. It had to have been the same thing. I waited for it to leave, and after a while, it did. I woke up behind the counter at 6 a.m. this morning to my manager giving me this fucking look like I'm a drug addict or something. Went home, typed the rest of this up, and that's about it. Heading for Inner Woods with a bunch of mates somewhere in Northern Europe, we decide to hike to this old abandoned Cold War era military factory. Reached the facility after 2 days of hiking. Shit is cash. We spend the day exploring and plinking birds with 22s. By nightfall, we set up a camp in one of the empty warehouses. We go outside, set up a campfire and start making stew. All of a sudden, we hear the loudest and weirdest roar I've ever heard. We all shit ourselves, grab our rifles and stare into the darkness. Something is moving about 100 meters out. We hear it rushing through the woods into the facility area. We stand there, silent, listening. Then it stops and suddenly it is dead silent all around us. Just the stew slowly boiling on the fire. We look at each other and have a brief chat. We decide to carry on with making the stew. Next morning, we wake up and start packing. Everyone is making jokes about how we got so scared of some bear, etc. My buddy sees something lurking on top of the biggest facility building. We try to have a look at what it is, but it's far too far away. Some 200 meters maybe. It's just standing there, with 2 legs, probably staring at us. The thing is huge, maybe over 7 feet tall. I reach for binoculars to have a good look on who's trolling with us. Just as I find the binoculars, my mates start shouting. I look at the creature, or whatever it was, and it seems to be running via the facility wall like a lizard, very, very fast. By now it's clear, it's not human, nor any animal I know of. It disappears behind one big bunker structure. We decide to nope the fuck out of there. We're scared shitless, even though it's day. As we're hiking back, we don't take any breaks before nightfall. As the sun sets down, we make a camp and start preparing supper. Everyone's a little tense and we try to joke around. We decide to do guard duty during the night. My shift is 1 to 3. Birds are singing like crazy. They do that during the night here, and I managed to see a lone rabbit hopping around our campsite. I would have popped that fucker, but I wanted to let my buddies rest. Suddenly, the bird stops singing, and the rabbit stops, raises its head like it's listening to something. The rabbit nopes out of there very fast like it's running for its life. I feel very uneasy and flick on my flashlight and shine it towards the darkness. I'm hoping to see a glimpse of a fox, etc. That could have explained the strange behaviour of another animal, but the forest around us seems empty. Just as I'm putting the light out, I see something move behind the bushes around 100 meters away. It was something big. I shine the light directly at the bushes and try to get a look through my scope. I managed to see something moving there, and I believe I saw a pair of yellowish eyes. Then it stands up. I don't know to this day what the fuck it was, but it was hairy looking, very dark, and had a face. The face of lighter colour, and there was 2 yellow eyes. The thing was around 7 feet tall, somewhat human shaped. Although I didn't get a very clear look with my shit-tier flashlight, I was 100% sure that thing wasn't human. So I started panicking, raised my gun and lit that fucker up. I emptied the whole Butler Creek mag in about 3 seconds, and didn't even aim. My buddies woke up and started shouting, and it was all chaos for half a minute. I tried to tell them what happened as fast as I could, having dropped my flashlight. I didn't know if the creature had been hit or if it was there anymore. One of my buddies picked up the light and directed it at the direction I was pointing my gun at, and there it was, just standing. Suddenly the thing just kind of falls down and starts slithering at us, making no noise at all. We start screaming, grab our packs and guns and noping the fuck out there. We must have ran like 10 kilometers straight up before taking a break. All of us were shaking. We didn't share a word. We walked the rest of the way to the public campground in DEFCON 1, weapons ready and listening to every crack. I've never been as happy as when I saw some German tourists grilling sausages by their RV. They were all like, "What the fuck?" when we exited the woods with guns and low ready stances. We said nothing, walked to our car and drove away, breaking pretty much every speed limit on the way. We talked about the thing on the way home. None of us knew what it was, but everyone had seen it, and everyone was convinced it was not human, nor a normal animal of any sort. We decided to stay away from the woods for a while. Problem is that the wildlife around here is scared of people, even children, and there hasn't been one bear sighting in over 80 years. Last summer, we decided to be tough guys and find out what the hell that thing was. This time we would go with 3 ATVs, in case we would have to bail out fast. We took 2 cameras, 3 308s, and 1 1276 with slugs. There were 4 of us, by the way. A load of survival gear, and one of my buddies managed to get a Gen 2 NV camera. We also had 7 pipe bombs, black powder and 2-inch iron tubing with caps at the end, plus visco fuse, in case shit got out of hand. Yeah, it was kind of lame, fake operator tier shit, but we thought we'd get all famous and shit if we actually killed it or got footage of it. Anyways, we entered the woods with our gear and headed for the facility. Again at the facility, everything looks normal, and birds are singing again. No sign of anything abnormal. We decided to map the surrounding area and look for anything suspicious. Nothing was found. We make camp at the very same warehouse as we did last time. Night falls and everything is still normal. We have guard shifts during the night, but nothing happens. Next day, we start exploring the woods area around the facility. We find a particular pile of dead trees. Looked like someone had hauled them there. We take a closer look. The trees are arranged in a fashion similar to a fucking huge bird's nest. In the middle of the nest, there is one half-rotten moose carcass and a shitload of different animal bones. We start quietly, noping back to our campsite. We park our ATVs next to the warehouse we keep our camp in. We enter the camp warehouse and see our camping gear all torn up. The somewhat expensive cameras smashed to against the floor. Food taken and sleeping bags torn to pieces. Fuck. We take everything we could in like a minute and start driving the hell out of Dodge. It's evening by the time we get back to public campground. A police officer stops us by the gates and checks our gun permits. Then the officer proceeds by asking whether we wanted to volunteer for a search operation. Our ATVs would be much appreciated. Some hiker had apparently gone missing in the nearby forest, 20 kilometers from the facility site. We look at each other and shake our heads. One of my buddy quickly says something about being late and we dive out of there. The dude who went missing was never found. We decided that we wouldn't go in a woodsing in that part of the country anymore. Edit. There you go. Dude who went missing actually was found. Dead.